reading from John's Gospel, chapter 14, beginning at verse 23. Jesus said, "Those who love me will keep my word, and my Father will love them, and we will come to them and make our home with them. Whoever does not love me does not keep my words, and the word that you hear is not mine, but is from the Father who sent me. I have said these things to you while I am still with you, but the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything, and remind you of all that I have said to you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. You heard me say to you, I am going away, and I am coming to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice that I am going to the Father, because the Father is greater than I. And now I have told you this before it occurs, so that when it does occur, you may believe."
Well, thank you, Jenny. It's interesting to me as we go into this Gospel passage again that we've been reading John right through Easter, of course, and here we are coming towards the end of Easter. But in a way, John, the lectionary takes us back to rehearse some of the great teachings that John has given. And I guess here we perhaps start by looking at that word peace that is dropped into the middle of the passage.
Because we need to remember, don't we? We need to go back and think, well, this is actually Jesus talking to his disciples before his death.
Before the crucifixion.
Yeah. So he's sort of going right back to what is coming. And I guess you pick up on some of the sort of confusion and anxiety, and he seems to need to feel he needs to reassure them. Yeah, I think they seem quite confused about what's happening.
Well, if I'm honest, I'm still quite confused about this passage in the Gospel, actually. It's very repetitive, these lectionary readings. But even so, there are some key themes. The sense of obedience, or love being worked out in obedience. And I really enjoy remembering that the root word for obedience comes from listening. So if we really listen, we do what the person is talking about, but also love includes that idea of obedience. Not a very popular word or concept these days.
But I like that sort of idea of listening, and therefore, of listening to God just as Jesus listens to the Father, and then this nice sort of the promise that they'll come and make our home with us. So it's that obedience is earthed in the relationship
and community. And community. If we bring it back to the disciples in the church, here's the group of disciples who will become the church, who are listening not only to God and the Spirit, but to each other as well. And I guess in the next few weeks, as we go through Pentecost and then into the beginnings of the church, we'll see how sometimes they listened really well to each other, and at other times didn't. Maybe there's something for us to learn there too.
And still really here, they're just getting glimpses from Jesus. I mean, you can understand, he says he's going away, and of course that worries them, but then you get these he starts feeding in these ideas of somehow he will be coming back to them. And I think you get all these sort of coming and going images, which are quite difficult.
Even more confusing. But this verse 27, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. For me, that takes me straight back to that first Easter evening, which comes a few chapters later, when Jesus appears in the upper room and says and greets them, the traditional greeting, shalom, peace, hello. But it's more than that, isn't it? It's all is well.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Yes, and I think I was reminded again. It's do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not let them be afraid. It's actually putting something back onto us and saying, well, we have to actually. We've just been talking about this in the way we live and work. Actually, consciously say, I'm not going to let myself get rattled over this, or there's something very steadying, I think, about that. That living in the peace of the risen Christ.
Living in the peace of the risen Christ. All shall be well. Who was it who said those wonderful words? Julian of Norwich. All shall be well. All shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well.
And yet Jesus can say this when he's going into a context of passion, death, and resurrection.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there's a lot more that we could say on this passage, but that's a few tasters and a few little things that people could follow up.
Some promise there.